welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video I kind of want to have a come to Jesus moment between me and my pink eyeshadows. So I wouldn't say any of these are dupes, but I have a ton of palettes that all include this warm pink rosy shade. So I compiled all of those said palettes together in front of me, and I just want to go through each of them and see, is it getting a bit too repetitive? Do I have too many of the same shade in my collection? Can I get these same looks and not necessarily have all of these palettes? So I have them all in front of me. We're going to go through each one at a time and just kind of see if there's any unique characteristics, something that would justify me holding on to all of these, or maybe some of these need to go ahead and be decluttered tonight. So stick with me if you would like to see what kind of pink eyeshadows I have in my collection. So I also want to say these are my warm toned pinks. I have cool toned pinks in my collection that are not going to be included in this video. I'm specifically looking for those like rosier shades. The first one that I have in front of me is a Blend Bunny palette. This is the Sugar and Grunge. This one was discontinued and brought back under the Sugar and Spite, I think. So for this palette, I have these berry tones on the side. I've justified this one because I don't have this combination of colors anywhere else. So this one is really cool because it has like the teals and some neutrals and some berries and purples and gray and green all together. And I don't really have that anywhere else. Now, does that mean that I have to keep this palette? Not necessarily, because I have each of these tones and shades individually somewhere else in my collection. And that's really the whole point of this exercise, is what is actually unique and adding something valuable to my eyeshadow collection, because I have so many, and if it's not adding value to my collection, then it needs to be moved on. Not to say that this palette is not valuable, but I'm just trying to shift my way of thinking about them. So that's the first palette. Let's find some that we can compare it to. I have this other one also from Blend Bunny. This is the Allure palette. So the pinks that I'm thinking of is this row right here. Again, it's that same like berry tone. And I will say, just off first glance, and I know that tones are different and undertones, and I know that they're not exactly the same, but when I look at this one, I immediately see that I have the pinks, the teals, and the neutrals together in this palette, very similarly to how in the Sugar and Grunge I had those pinks, the neutrals, and the teal. So I have them side by side in front of me. They're definitely not the same, so I'm gonna set both of these to the side. You know, do I really need to keep both of these? Because I will say, when I started content creation, which was very recent, these were the first two palettes that I reached for, of like, hey, I have not used these in quite a while. Why don't I pull these ones out and use them? And I love the look that I got with both of these. Still doesn't mean that I need to keep both of them. This next one is the Beauty Below palette. I really like this one, and I think that this one is, I'm gonna flip it this way, just make it easier to hold. I do like all of the tones in this one. I really like the shades that they put together, and I do think that this one is unique to my collection, and this is how I want to look at all of my palettes. I do think that this one brings something a little bit different. The shimmers lean a little bit deeper, darker, richer, so there's not like a ton of light shimmers, and I think that the undertones in these are really unique and special. I'm thinking like this corner over here, like those are very unique tones. And then even this pink, which is what we're talking about today, I'm thinking that like these shimmers are very unique to my collection, and mixing that like lighter pink with that deeper rich purple, I think that that's unique, and that's like worth keeping in my collection. In that same realm, I have the Machina palette from Blend Bunny. This one came and went so quickly. Like, I feel like it was barely available before they discontinued it. Again, I'm just gonna flip it like this to make it easier to hold. But this one, again, I think adds value to my collection. It's very unique colors, very unique tones, and a unique combination of them. So even like these pinks over here, like that shimmer, I love that it has like the gold reflex all throughout it. This is one that I can see being valuable to my collection. Still the same warm pinks, but I feel like in the context of this palette, it makes sense to keep this one because the other shades around it are so unique and can bring something unique to those warm tones. This one, obviously, I'm going to say is unique to my collection. This is the Ellis palette, volume 1 from Blend Bunny. And this one, really the only warm pinks are this row right here. I do like this one because it kind of fills in all the gaps that some other palettes leave. So I think that the shades, the gradient of the shades is very well thought out. There's not like a big jump from each shade. So you really can blend them all seamlessly if you want to keep building that color and intensity. And I think that in itself makes this palette pretty unique. But then of course, like it is a full rainbow palette. So tons of choices in here. It makes sense for this to stay in my collection. While we're talking about Blend Bunny, I just have a small honorable mention. I would not consider this like a palette with warm pinky tones because there's really only 2 pink shades in here and they're like a hot pink. But I did just want to mention it since it was here with these other palettes. So a small honorable mention, there are some pinks in here, but in the context of the palette, this is a pretty neutral palette. Next, I have my only palette from Simply Posh Cosmetics. This one is the Fairy Tale Fairies. I really almost decluttered this one because this one was actually on sale when I purchased it because there was some issues with their manufacturer pressing some of the shades a little bit harder in the pan. So they kind of get like a hard pan on them. They're a little bit difficult to get out of the pan, but the mattes in here are really good and it's only like 2 of the shimmers that have that issue. So I did end up keeping this one, and I do really like this one. So the pinks that I'm thinking of are these ones over here. And these pinks in and of themselves are not unique at all. Like we've seen this pink a ton of times. And honestly, now that I'm looking at this palette, I have these shades in other places. These shimmers are really pretty and unique to my collection, but they're not like the best formula. And I wasn't expecting them to be because I got this because it was a imperfect palette. Like I got it on sale, so I took that as my chance to try Simply Posh for the first time. So I would actually like to try their real perfected formula instead of this one. I do think that this one can move out just because this one isn't particularly unique to my collection. The next one is from Bella Beauty, something like that. This is the Dead Roses palette. This is what I'm talking about when I say I want them in a unique color story, right? Like this has a place in my collection because you have those warmer pinks, but then they're mixed with reds and with purples and then these multi-chrome greens. So when I'm looking at these warm pinks in the context of this, you can take it in so many different directions. Do you just want to go hot pink? Do you want it to lean more like fiery red? Do you want to blend it out, make it deeper with the purples? There's a lot that you can do with this and not just have that same rosy pink look over and over again. So this one is what I mean when I say I want that unique factor with these warm pinks. This is the Nomad Love and Death palette. We're only looking at this half of the palette. There is a second half that has like those cooler tone shades, but we're only looking at this one with those warmer pinks and reds. So when I'm looking at this one, I'm really seeing kind of the same things that I saw in the Dead Roses palette. So it has those warm pinks with some reds and a couple of like pinky shimmers. And so then when I compare that to the Dead Roses, I just gouged my eyeshadow. I hate when I do that. I'm so clumsy with my shadows. So when I'm comparing these two, like I'm reaching for the Dead Roses every time. There's just more variety, more things to do, the same warm toned pinks, but you can take it in more directions. But I'm looking at that one, and then like I have this half, which is like, oh, well, this is the unique part. Like this is where there's some tones that you don't have in other places. But when do I ever use cool tones like this? Like I definitely use cool tones from time to time, but I'm not using these two together. Like these are two separate palettes in my mind. I really don't see how I would mix and match these for how I do my makeup. I'm sure that there's somebody out there that does. That's not me. And then there's nothing about this that really screams that I needed. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pass this one on, just because I'm gonna reach for other palettes over this, and I know that about myself. The next one is the Glamlight Barbie palette. I do like this one. It's very fun, and there's lots of bright colors in here. So you have some neutrals over there, but then you have like the teals and the blues and the purples and the pinks, and this is all really pretty. But then I ask you, like, are these not similar? Am I crazy? Because in my head, these two are very similar to each other. And I can definitely see where they're not. Like, the blues in here are very deep, rich, murky blues rather than brighter blues. And, you know, the purples, like, there's... But, like, the vibes of these just ring very similarly in my head. So when I'm looking at this one, like, I don't feel like I can get a total pink look from this one, because the only shimmers that they have are, like, deeper shimmers, and I don't always love a deeper, richer shimmer. And when I do want that, like, I want it all to be deep and rich. Like, I don't want a bright pink all over my crease and then like a deep, rich shimmer on the lid. Like, if I'm going to go deep and rich and sultry, I'm gonna go into my Beauty Below and go deep and rich and sultry across the board. So I think that this Barbie one can go ahead and move on from my collection. The next one is the Spring Magic. This one is from Unearthly Cosmetics, and I'm kind of looking at this whole row right here. So all of those pinks there. What I do like about this one is that when the pinks are building up, it's not building to a purple. Like, it's building to a deeper, richer berry, kind of almost leaning a bit brownish berry. And I really like that, and that stands out to me about this one. And then, of course, this one has lots of multi-chromes, duochromes that really make this one unique. So this one is definitely a keeper in my collection. And when I do want, like, a pink rosy look, like, this used to be my go-to palette for that. So much so that I had it left out, and my cat got to it. Sticking with some Unearthly, I have the Gothic Romance palette. And again, I'm thinking of this bottom row right here. I have the palette upside down, sorry. But this row of pinks right here, I just used this one. If you guys saw my video talking about the Gothic Romance collection, I used this entire bottom row of pinks. And as I was doing that look, I was like, I have never done a look like this before. Like, not in the way that I did it with this one, because it did vary in depth. And it did have those unique tones that shine through with each and every one of these shades. So this is one that I can feel like it's justified to have an entire row of warm pinks, because when they build and they work together, it creates something unique to my collection. So this one is definitely a keeper. Next up, still from Unearthly, this is the Fall Magic. So this one, I probably should have included it as like an honorable mention, not so much all warm pinks, but there is a bit here. Then this one kind of shifts a little bit, and then that one kind of shifts a little bit. Oops, sorry. So those three like kind of shift in that pink realm, and then you have the pink matte, of course. But again, this one, in the context of this, it makes sense to have it because there's lots of different tones to play with. There's multi-chromes to play with. So it does add something unique to my collection. It's not just repetitive warm pink tones, because in the context of everything else, I can make a very different look with this. Going back to Glamlight, this one is the Betty Boop palette. And this one I would say is pretty different than any other palette that I've talked about so far, because it has like these warmer berries, even the reds, but then it's mixed with cooler tones. So you have that mix of warm and cool with the berries, the pinks, the purples, the reds, and it really makes for a unique look every single time. I really, really enjoy this one. And now that I'm like looking at it again, I want to reach into it again. I can get really unique looks from this one, mixing and playing with the warmer and the cooler tones. Unlike that Nomad one, where I thought that they were just too far apart on the spectrum, that it didn't make sense in my brain to mix those shades. But this one, when you have like these cooler, but then warmer, like those blend together so easily. We are getting very close to the end. I think I only have 2 more palettes, and then we're going to circle back around to those first 2 Blend Bunny palettes that I talked about to see if we want to keep those. This one is from Pat McGrath. This is the Sunset Romance palette. And I just, oh man. That one is just so pretty to me. And I think it's because this one leans like in a bronzy kind of fashion. So like the shimmers, like I'm getting more bronzy vibes from those. And then we have like kind of like a cooler pink there, but then like a warmer pink. So I feel like this one just, I feel like I want to keep this one. I'm trying to like figure out what words I can say to explain why this one is different and unique enough in my head. And I really can't explain it. Like I just like these tones together. And when I look at my other palettes, I don't think of these tones together. Like they kind of lean more like hot pink. And these are like muted rosy pinks, like a dusty rose. And I really like that about this one. So this one is a keeper. The very last one is a palette that I've never used before. This is the Patrick Ta. Right, this is the Major Dimension 2 palette. So this is the second one, the rosier version. And I have not tried this one yet. I just got this one, I think, in like a icon box from Ipsy. But I think what makes this one unique is, one, it has the creams. It has these kind of like, sorry, my cat is back there messing with stuff. It has these creams, and then it has these kind of crushed metal metallics that I think are really fun and interesting. And then again, the mattes lean rosier tone, but they're still a bit neutral. Like this, I feel like could be a very everyday. And I say everyday, but I like the eye look that I'm wearing now is everyday for me. Like I went to a festival today, like a fall festival. So this is everyday to me. This will be good. Like I feel like I don't have to put a lot of thought into using this one. And some days I just want that. Some days I'm just out of energy. I don't really feel good, but I want to do my makeup because it brings me joy. And I feel like this one would be a good one to use because I feel like they could just blend really easily, pop any shimmer on, and I'm good to go. I did have one more honorable mention. This is the Basic Witch palette from Bella Beauty Bar. Absolutely love this one. Totally keeping it because it's very unique. Like we have these warmer pinks here. Warmer pinks, hot pinks, whatever we want to call them, but in the context with the green and the purple and even this mustardy orangey yellow, they look so nice together, and it's very unique when you have them all paired together. So this one is a definite keep. Okay, and then we have these two. This is very hard for me to reckon with of what I want to do with these. I just, in the context of the rest of my Blend Bunny palettes and in the rest of my makeup collection, these just don't stand out in my mind. Specifically, I would say that the Sugar and Grunge doesn't really stand out in my mind. The Lure I can actually see myself reaching into and using, but the Sugar and Grunge, I don't know, I just forget about it. I just used it like a month ago and then immediately forgot about it. So I think that this is one that just needs to pass on to a better home, because for me, for my makeup style, for what I do day to day, this is just not one that I'm reaching for, so I'm gonna pass this one on. Okay, those are all of my warm rosy toned eyeshadows. I am wanting to do another video that focuses more on my cool toned pinks because I also have quite a bit of those in my collection, and some of these will pop back up when I'm talking about my cooler toned pinks. So I ended up decluttering 4 palettes here, which actually feels pretty good because, you know, I'm trying to keep the palettes in my collection that I'm actually going to get use out of. And so it does feel good to know that I'm passing these on to a better home. Someone's actually going to use these ones because they are really pretty palettes. They really are. Just in my collection, they're not getting the use that they deserve. So I'm really happy to pass these on to somebody that will get some better use out of them. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to come back, like I said, and do more color stories that I think I just have a lot of in my collection, and see if I can kind of pare things down a little bit. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below if you have any ideas for what color story I should do next. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.